House Leader, third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. At one point in time, the BC NDP were highly critical of the greenhouse gas emissions from LNG. As a government, they have rightfully criticized the Trans Mountain Pipeline as being too risky a proposition and have suggested that CleanBC will be the driving force for how the government makes recovery funding decisions. An expanded oil and gas industry is not where the future of our economy lies. It creates stranded assets and disappearing jobs. My question through you, Honourable Speaker, is to the Minister of Finance. Will she commit to not spending any of the $1.5 billion in recovery funding on subsidies to the fossil fuel industry?
Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. We certainly do have a long road ahead of us. There's no question. The pandemic has profoundly impacted our province and profoundly impacted the people and the businesses and the economy of British Columbia. But we also know that as we rebuild, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to make sure we're doing it with the values that matter to British Columbians. And of course, those values mean building an innovative, sustainable economy for the long term in British Columbia. It means helping people get the training and the education that they need to be able to get the jobs that will be available in British Columbia. It means making sure we're investing in cleaner transportation and cleaner projects in British Columbia. So I can assure the member that the funding is going to be used and earmarked, in fact, for a sustainable economy. We've made that statement, both the Premier and I, and it certainly will as well be used to be able to move ahead on our CleanBC project. So we share those values as caucuses. We also share those values, I believe, with British Columbians, and we have an opportunity through economic recovery to do just that.
House Leader, third party on a supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm going to take that as a hopeful yes. There won't be any spending on subsidies to the fossil fuel industry, but I'll frame it again in a more of a positive. Throughout this pandemic, BC has been a global leader, has been seen as a global leader in our response, showcasing that when we agree to work together towards an objective, we actually are able to achieve it. And by working together with the Green Caucus, this minority government has put together one of the continent's leading climate plans with CleanBC, which has been recognized as an economic plan. And the Premier has repeatedly pointed to the role it will have in recovery. Just yesterday, the Minister of Environment said it will be at the heart of the recovery. The Minister of Finance just said that in her response. These are encouraging signs, but words are not enough. The $1.5 billion earmarked for a recovery must be spent on a green recovery package that will not just revitalize, but actually transform our economy. My question for you, Honourable Speaker, is again to the Minister of Finance. Can her government commit to spending at least $500 million of the $1.5 billion in recovery funding to directly accelerate or expand CleanBC in order to create clean jobs across the province?
Minister of Finance.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. There is no question that I expect that a significant amount of the recovery funding that we have will be used in meeting our climate goals and in the work that we're doing with CleanBC. And I want to also express my appreciation for the work that we've done with the Green Caucus, with the member for Oak Bay Gordon Head around CleanBC. There is no question that is world leading when we come to the work that we've been doing. We've invested over $1.3 billion in the CleanBC strategy over the last couple of budgets, and we know how important it is to make sure we're doing everything we can to move that ahead. We're continuing to engage. As the member knows, we've had extraordinary proposals come forward for a number of groups across the province, including many that have come forward around the sustainable agenda and the opportunity to look at sustainability. So it just reinforces the fact that we are already putting CleanBC and a sustainable economy front and center as part of our recovery plan, and I'm looking forward to going through those proposals and being able to act on them in the fall.